All right, we're doing a little FSD night drive in drizzly conditions. Give FSD a little challenge. Oh, and I haven't even touched the wiper blades. It automatically started working. I'll bet a little delayed, but it is working. So we're running hardware 4, and we're running 12.5.6.4, which is the newest or the wide release. We do not have the version 13 that the beta testers have. Right away, a little jerky turn there, but overall okay. So we're getting on the freeway, doing well to get up to speed, and I like it. They finally got rid of the chime that says the annoying chime or alert that says FSD may be degraded. It's now just an amber triangle. It says full self-driving may be degraded because of conditions. What I'm going to do is pop open the cameras here, and this is why more than likely is the water is sliding by the cameras, and it's doing a pretty decent job of it. The right one is fairly murky. The left camera I can see pretty well right now. So it's doing actually a good job of driving with the cameras fairly locked. I will say it is actually doing a better job, because before, even though the cameras were when it were blocked, it wouldn't do anything. I mean, it wasn't confident to change the lane like it just did, or give you the red hands like almost right away. So there's been definite improvements in the rainy conditions. It is learning. And we're next to the semi-truck, which is just blasting mist at us, and we're still driving perfectly fine. I would say this is probably one of the bigger improvements over the past month or last few updates, because it was not doing very well in the rain, and we're actually doing really, really well for being so misty and nasty outside. I have some videos from probably October, mid-October, and you drive across the 520 bridge in the light rain and it'll kick you out in a similar condition. Or you'd hit a puddle, or a car would drive by and you get the red steering wheel. Please take over, I don't know what to do. I will say it is taking a little bit of a California style following distance to driving in the rain. Normally I would give a little bit more berth to the car in front in this kind of wet conditions, but yeah, it's working through the blur and working through the mist. It's kind of puzzling to me. If you can see the camera, I don't know if it comes through, especially with a wide angle, but the certain condition that blurs the camera image, because right now it's the same condition, but now it's cleared up. So the profile at which water moves around the car or the streams, it's kind of random. Sometimes the lighter drizzle actually works worse. Heavy rain, the cameras stay clear. This is right now, I'm very impressed. Night driving in the rain, she's doing really well. And there are no LiDAR sensors or any kind of radar on this particular version. I think model Model S and X have the Phoenix radar built into them and the Cybertruck, but the 3 and Y do not. So this is vision, pure vision. So if you can see ahead of me, there's the imprints of the old lines that were on the road. And it is doing a really good job in these builds of totally ignoring old road paint. We can see it, but it's discounting it and recognizing the correct lane markers, or in this case, the double white that's to my left. Unfortunately, I wasn't I wasn't making FSD videos in April when I first purchased the car. Kind of got into it later, a few months ago, and well, here you have it. And it's kind of a documentation on my part, because at some point someone will ask, "Hey, you know, cars will drive themselves within the decade." That's a given, at least in my opinion. How they get there, this is the vision-only approach, and it seems to be doing pretty well of getting there. So let's say in a year from now, you'll have the supervised trials, you'll have the unsupervised robo-taxis in the test market, and then it'll start rolling out nationwide. That's a given. So the reason, another project internally for myself is, at some point, someone will ask, you know, this will become second nature. You know, you jump in a car and it drives for you, and you don't have to drive anymore. And I will be like, well, there was a period of time where we had these Teslas, and you had to babysit them, and they do stupid things sometimes. Like, I have a video, and it went down the wrong way of a one-way. Like, this was several months ago. You have these... You had to really watch the car 6 months ago, and now you don't. This is when you have to, and there was a period of time where you had to touch the steering wheel every 90 seconds to prove that you were alive and breathing, a live human. And you don't have to do that anymore. And the car will just go. And in fact, in theory, a self-driving car should drive better than a human, because it can, as long as it can process the inputs and outputs faster. Certain things about being human, you can't do what a car does. You can't consistently see behind your head. You can't have cameras in the back. I mean, we don't have eyes in the back of our heads, and the car does. So when someone tries to change lanes into you that I can't see, it will attempt to avoid the accident, which it has. And I just think it's super cool that, you know, we got the opportunity to train or imprint on, based off of our feedback, our input, and our grabbing the steering wheel, to Cortex and Dojo, that this was in its infancy. So many generations later, what we're doing now will have built the basis for FSD. So anybody that had a Tesla beta car, you helped to build the self-driving algorithms, because at some point it goes totally unsupervised and it doesn't need human inputs. It'll do it itself based off of the original input that was received by the manual driver. And I say, at least in my opinion, I think currently the combination of human plus FSD is the safest combination, because I don't experience driver fatigue. I just let it go, and I think the combination of me and the car, we're a safer set, because I get the benefit of having the cameras that are always seeing and always trying to move out of the way if someone's trying to hit us. and I don't experience driver fatigue, and I can actually look further or off to the sides. I can enjoy the drive. You don't get fatigued. If you fall asleep, the car will, well, it'll stop. It won't stop in the road. It'll just pull over. You'll get the red hands, the beep, 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 beep. You'll get a strike, but I see a potential for, if there's, in the U.S., there's 40,000 fatalities-ish a year on the roads. I need to look up the statistic. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was 40,000. And you have the potential. Obviously, you can't bring this to zero because cars will still skid off the road. That's a given. No amount of self-driving is going to stop a car from hitting black ice and that unrecoverable situations. And then the implications where if every car has this full self-driving enabled, you won't have needless fatalities from drunk driving, which I think is amazing. Think about it. You get drunk at the bar, normal, you have a few drinks, but the car drives you home. Obviously, it's illegal to do it right now, but in 2 or 3 years, hey, you get drunk, you get in the car, you go home. The car drives you home like a horse. You've seen those, there's those funny YouTube videos every now and then the police catch the Amish guy, and they're like, the horse knows where it's going, it's okay. There's the passed out Amish person in the buggy. Or someone's just on a horse kind of drunk, but they're like, it is technically a vehicle of the road, but the horse knows where it's going. I love those videos. But anyway, and that's going to change multiple industries, because every night, how many people get picked up for DUI? And then their life is ruined, their insurance rates go up. Well, if you have multiple DUIs, your life is essentially ruined for 5-6 years. But then let's say you do get picked up for DUI. You're paying $10,000 in attorney's fees, fines, probably more than $10,000. There's a whole economy around drunk driving, and that's going to go away. I think that's great. The fatality rate, because not only that, the $10,000 that a drunk driving, when there isn't a fatality, let's say there is a fatality or an injury, it costs millions to the economy, because you're ruining two people's day. The person that did the drunk driving, and then the person that got hit, if it's another car or other parties, and you have potential damages of millions and millions of dollars in that situation. And it not only is that, let's say you hit a car full of 3 people, and they get injured badly, they're disabled. Not only are they not able to be productive members of society, so society spent tax dollars and education to put in them and experience, and their employers may depend on these people's skills that aren't available. So that has a long run millions of dollars in implications in productivity decrease from just one accident. It's actually incredible if you think about it. Like, if you hit a car full of productive people and you knock out that productivity, that's millions of dollars in productivity that just evaporate in 1 second. And hopefully autonomy and self-driving are going to end drunk driving. I think it's the number one benefit of, at least in this situation, people ask, like, I've seen on other comments, like, why do you need a self-driving car? It's because people won't hail an Uber, or they want to just drive home, and hopefully if they're drunk, they will just hit the paddle down. And with version 13, you can just sit in your car. I mean, even if you are drunk and it's illegal and you use FSD, chances are you're not getting pulled over because there's no probable cause, and it will take you home to your driveway. Now, you can't take over if the car gives you the red steering wheel, but your chances, and it's far safer to use FSD if you're impaired. I think, and then when it goes that it's legal to use as an unsupervised device, guess what? No more drunk driving. I think it is awesome. it will save thousands upon thousands of lives. And then over time, hundreds of thousands of lives. And then over decades, millions of lives globally. And then endless, needless deaths that just happen because people fall asleep behind the wheel and hit a telephone pole. I laugh because I'm using the term telephone pole where there really is no such thing as a telephone pole left. They're all carrying fiber for internet, and the telephone is emulated close by if you still have copper service. Well, the world is changing. I was reading an article from it was about how in California, it's one of the last places where copper service is still they can't like cut it out, and there's a town in there. There's a telephone exchange or AT&T system, and there's only 4 or 5 people hooked up to the system using the copper. And they still have to maintain the wires to their house. And it's just asinine. Like, you could easily do this with VoIP. Or just issue them a cell phone for free just to get rid of the building. Now, the building inherently is useful because the fiber has to be terminated somewhere. It came from the original plants or the telephone switch station, and then they have the outside the telephone plant, and then it gets to your house. But anyway. Copper, while it was great and reliable, it can't carry much data, so it's basically worthless. And it should go the way of the dodo bird. And yes, the phone company provided power, but you know what? There are multiple companies out there that sell these little Jackery boxes or EcoFlow, and you can have a kilowatt of power for relatively cheap. You just store it, keep it charged, and you can power your little Wi-Fi and the internet gateways. As long as there's fiber, they're coming from the central office, and those usually, the central offices have backup generators, just like the telephone exchange would. And then there's usually decent reliability or generation stations and the booster stations along the way. So, yeah, the future is bright with self-driving. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk as we approach our destination. If you want me to talk about other things, leave it in the comments. I gotta fill this dead air with something because I can't listen to the same 6 copyright-free songs every single time. Alright, we're approaching Mill Creek, Washington now. We went from Kirkland through Bothell, now we're in Mill Creek, and we're in Snohomish County. That's pretty much it. We're going to Azul's Mexican restaurant to meet a good friend of ours. And, yeah, we're almost there. McDonald's isn't too busy for a Friday night. Ooh, a little. It's okay. always misses this corner here. But no harm, no foul. Huh? Going? Are you not going? Alright, we played the Seattle chicken game at the stop sign. I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know actually who was in the right. I feel it. Alright, that concludes our FSD drive. In conclusion, the rain performance was amazing, and we did see some improvements for the rain. So kudos to the FSD team. Ashok, Elon, great job. And tune in later.